The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber reflected the light of 3 suns, but today its usual beauty felt hollow. Inside, 32 alien representatives sat around the circular table, their faces showing varying degrees of fear and despair. Some had scaled skin that shimmered, others had feathers that drooped with worry, and a few were merely patterns of light in containment fields. At the far end of the table sat Admiral James Gray, the only human in the room. Unlike the others, he didn't fidget or float nervously. Earth's gravity had made him and his species different from these aliens, stronger, denser, more physically resilient. He watched the latest hologram playing above the table, his face hard as stone. The hologram showed a passenger ship breaking apart under heavy fire. Green beams cut through its hull like paper, and escape pods burst into flames before they could reach safety. The swarm ships, black and jagged like angry wasps, didn't stop firing until every piece of the ship was destroyed. "That was the morning light," said First Speaker Reed, his transparent body pulsing with red lights of distress. "A diplomatic vessel carrying families from the ring worlds. 3,000 civilians. No survivors." The chamber erupted in voices. Some spoke in high musical tones, others in deep rumbles that shook the water glasses on the table. A few communicated through light patterns or electromagnetic pulses that made the room's electronics flicker. "The swarm has taken 12 systems in 30 days, said Counselor Brightwing, her feathers puffed up in agitation. "Our best ships can't stop them. They ignore all attempts at communication." "What about the defense fleet?" asked a crystalline being from the outer rings. Admiral Gray finally spoke, his voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. "The defense fleet was built for peacekeeping, not war. Your species evolved in low-gravity environments, in worlds without predators. Your bodies can't handle the forces of real combat maneuvers. The swarm knows this, and they're using it against you." The room fell silent. Gray stood up, his heavy boots making a sound that many of the aliens found disturbing. He walked to the hologram controls, his movements precise and controlled in a way that reminded them he came from a world 3 times heavier than most of their home planets. "Look at this footage again," he said, replaying the attack. "The swarm ships pull 12 Gs in these turns. That would kill most of your pilots instantly, but they're not using automated ships. There are living creatures flying those fighters, surviving those forces. How is that possible?" asked Reed, floating closer. "Because they're like us," Gray said. "They evolved on a high-gravity world. That's why they're winning. They're fighting warriors against diplomats, predators against prey." Another explosion lit up the chamber as the hologram repeated. Brightwing covered her eyes with a wing. "Then we are doomed. We cannot fight an enemy we cannot even pursue." Gray smiled, but there was no humor in it. "No, you can't fight them. But we can." The council members turned to him. Reed's body sparked with sudden understanding. "You mean humans," Gray said. "Earth's special forces, Marines, orbital drop troops. People born and trained on a world that tried to kill their ancestors every day for millions of years. But your species is so." Brightwing struggled to find a polite word. "Violent," Gray finished for her. "Aggressive. Dangerous. Yes, we are. Because our world made us this way. And right now, that's exactly what you need." He pressed another button, and a hologram changed to show Earth military footage. Soldiers in powered armor dropping from ships, running through high-gravity environments that would crush most council species, fighting in toxic atmospheres with nothing but sealed suits and determination. "We're not diplomats or philosophers," Gray said. "We're survivors. Earth tried to kill us with gravity, weather, predators, disease, and 1,000 other threats. Instead of dying, we learned to fight back. We became the most dangerous thing on our world. And now..." A new alert flashed across the chamber's screens. Another system had fallen to the swarm. "Now," Gray finished, "we might be the only thing dangerous enough to save your worlds." The council chamber was silent except for the soft hum of life support systems. Finally, Reed spoke, his voice heavy with the weight of the decision. "Call Earth," he said. "Tell them. Tell them we need their Deathworlders." Captain Jack Stone stood in the military briefing room on Mars Base 1, watching the alien delegation with interest. After 15 years in the Special Forces, he thought he had seen everything. He was wrong. The aliens looked incredibly fragile to his eyes. Their thin bodies seemed to float rather than walk, and they wore special suits just to handle Mars' gravity, which was lower than Earth's. The leader of the group, Reed, was basically a glowing cloud inside a containment field. "Let me get this straight," Stone said, his voice rough from years of commanding troops in the Mars colonial wars. "You want us to fight an enemy that's destroyed half your fleet, and you want us to do it in environments with gravity that would kill your own soldiers." "Exactly, Captain." Reed's translator converted his light pulses into speech. "Your species is uniquely qualified for this mission." Stone looked at the combat footage playing on the wall screen. The swarmed ships moved with incredible speed and power. Their ground forces fought in conditions that would crush most alien species. But to Stone, it just looked like a normal day of training on Earth. "Show me the environment readings from their latest attack," Stone ordered. Numbers appeared on the screen. Gravity, 3.2 Earth standard. Atmosphere, toxic to most species. Temperature, high enough to melt lead. The aliens watched nervously as Stone smiled. "Perfect conditions for my team." He pressed a button on his desk. "All Reaper Squad members, report to Training Room 7. Within 5 minutes, 12 humans entered the room. They were all veterans of the Mars Wars, each one carrying the hard-earned look of soldiers who had fought in the worst conditions space could throw at them. "Ladies and gentlemen," Stone addressed his team, "we've got a job offer." The aliens watched in fascination as Stone explained the mission. Instead of showing fear at the deadly conditions, the humans looked excited. They asked technical questions about weapon compatibility and armor systems, but none of them even mentioned the environmental hazards that terrified most species. "Time for a demonstration," Stone announced. "Suit up, Reapers. Training scenario, high-gravity assault." The alien delegation moved to an observation room. Through the reinforced windows, they watched as the training room transformed. Gravity generators pushed the room to 4 times Earth normal. The temperature rose to levels that would cook most species alive. Toxic gas filled the chamber. Stone's team walked in wearing basic combat suits, not the full environmental suits other species needed, just light armor with sealed helmets. They moved like the gravity wasn't even there. "Impossible," one of the alien observers whispered. "Their bones should be breaking under this pressure." The training exercise began. Stone's soldiers ran, jumped, and fought against combat drones. They scaled walls in gravity that should have crushed them. They executed perfect shooting formations while moving at speeds that made the aliens feel dizzy just watching. "This is what Earth gravity did for us," Stone explained to the stunned aliens. "Our world made us strong. Your people evolved in gentle environments. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day." The exercise ended with all targets destroyed. Stone's team hadn't even broken a sweat. "We'll need better equipment," Stone said, turning to Reed. "Our standard gear won't be enough for space combat. We need powered armor, heavy weapons, and ships that won't break when we push them to their limits." "You shall have everything," Reed replied, his light patterns showing clear awe. "Our best technology, modified to handle your physical capabilities." Stone nodded. "One more thing. We're not just soldiers. On Earth, we learn to be engineers, medics, and scientists too. Because on a death world, you adapt or you die. Give us full access to information about the swarm. We might see something your people missed." The aliens looked at each other, then back at the humans who had just performed impossible feats as if they were routine. "Perhaps," Reed said slowly, "this is why the Council was wrong to fear Earth for so long. We saw your strength, and thought it meant you were dangerous. Oh, we are dangerous, Stone smiled. But now we're dangerous on your behalf. As the aliens left to prepare the paperwork, Stone turned back to his team. All right, Reapers, this is what we trained for. Time to show the galaxy why they called a Deathworlder. The mining colony on Titan 7 was burning. Black ships of the swarm filled the orange sky, their weapons cutting through the colony's weak defenses. The alien colonists huddled in their bunkers, waiting for the end that had come to so many other worlds. But this time was different. Captain Stone stood in the dropship's bay, checking his team's powered armor one last time. The new suits were amazing, a perfect blend of alien technology and human durability. They were fighting in 4.5 times Earth's gravity, but in these suits, it felt like a walk in the park. Remember, Stone's voice came through the team comm. The swarm has never faced humans before. They expect everyone to be as fragile as the other aliens. Let's show them their mistake. The dropship's bay doors opened. Far below, swarm ground forces were breaking into the mining complex. They moved fast and strong, clearly comfortable in the high gravity. Reapers, drop. 12 humans jumped from the ship. No other species in the galaxy would attempt a combat drop in such gravity. Their bones would shatter on landing. But humans had been practicing high-gravity drops since before they reached space. The swarm noticed them falling. Anti-air weapons turned upward, green beams slicing through the air. But the humans were moving too fast, their armor deflecting what few hits connected. Stone hit the ground first, the impact creating a small crater. His suit's systems absorbed the shock easily. Around him, his team landed in perfect formation, weapons ready. Through his visor, Stone got his first clear look at a swarm warrior. They were big, covered in natural armor, with multiple arms holding weapons. In normal gravity, they would terrify most species, but Stone had wrestled bears in training sims that were scarier. Targets marked, Stone said calmly. Weapons free. Show them what Deathworlders can do. The Reapers attacked. Private Cooper, the team's heavy weapons specialist, fired a gravity pulse cannon. The weapon, designed by alien engineers but built to handle human strength, sent 3 swarm warriors flying. In the high gravity, the impact crushed their armor like paper. Sergeant Miller sprinted forward at full speed, moving faster in lethal gravity than most species could move in their own environments. A swarm warrior tried to match her pace and stumbled, unused to facing enemies who could move as well as they could in these conditions. They're adapting. Lieutenant Banks called out, "Watch your flanks." The swarm was indeed learning fast. They tried to surround the humans, using tactics that had worked against other species, but they didn't understand what they were fighting. Stone ran straight through a wall to flank their position. The swarm warriors stared in shock. No other species they'd fought could manage such physical feats. Before they could react, Stone's plasma rifle cut through their ranks. "Mining complex secured," Miller reported. "But we've got bigger problems. Their ships are starting a bombing run." Stone looked up at the swarm fleet. In space, the aliens' superior numbers usually guaranteed victory. But they hadn't counted on human ingenuity combined with alien tech. "Launch the micro-drones," Stone ordered. Thousands of tiny drones, each one powered by a micro-AI designed by human engineers, swarmed into the sky. The swarm ships tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. The drones attached themselves to the ship's hulls and began cutting through. "Alien ships are built for space combat," Stone explained to the colony's defenders who were watching in awe. "But they're not built to handle the kind of close-quarter combat humans specialize in. Even in space, we'd bring the fight to punching range." Within minutes, the swarm fleet was retreating, their ships damaged in ways their commanders had never seen before. In the colony's command center, alien observers watched the battle recordings in stunned silence. They saw humans moving in gravity that should have killed them, fighting with a speed and strength that seemed impossible. "Now you know why we won," Stone told them, removing his helmet. It's not just about being stronger. Earth taught us to be creative, to adapt, to never stop fighting. The swarm is about to learn what that means. He looked at the retreat signals from the enemy fleet. They'll be back, he said. But now they know. The galaxy isn't defenseless anymore. The Deathworlders have joined the fight. Dr. Blue watched through the observation window as Captain Stone's team trained in the combat simulator. Unlike other Council scientists who kept their distance from humans, he had requested to study them up close. As the leading xenobiologist of the Council, he needed to understand these creatures who could fight so well yet choose peace. The training room today was set to simulate toxic atmosphere and crushing gravity. Through special sensors, Dr. Blue could feel the ground shaking as Stone's soldiers moved with impossible speed and strength. Fascinating, he muttered, making notes. They're not just tolerating these conditions, they're thriving in them. The exercise stopped when Stone noticed their observer. He walked over, his heavy boots making the deck plates vibrate with each step. Dr. Blue's protective field flickered slightly from the vibrations. "More questions, Doctor?" Stone asked, removing his helmet. Despite just finishing intense combat training, he wasn't even breathing hard. "Yes, Captain. Your species. You fight with such skill, yet you build gardens. You can crush bones with your hands, yet you create music. You train for war, yet you seek peace first. I don't understand." Stone smiled. "Follow me. I want to show you something." They walked to the ship's observation deck. Earth was visible through the massive window, a blue and green jewel in space. "See that world?" Stone pointed. "Every day it tried to kill us. Storms that could tear buildings apart, earthquakes that could swallow cities, diseases that could wipe out millions, animals that could hunt us down. Even the air could kill us if it got too hot or cold." Dr. Blue's body pulsed with understanding. "So you learned violence to survive?" "No," Stone said. "We learned to adapt. Violence was just one tool. We also learned to build shelters, to cure diseases, to grow food in harsh places. We learned to work together, because alone we would die. Every human carries that knowledge in their bones. Survive, adapt, protect your people." An alarm blared through the ship. Swarm ships detected in Sector 7. "Watch," Stone said as they rushed to the command center. "You'll see what I mean." The command center was filled with both alien and human officers. On the main screen, 3 swarm ships were attacking a small medical transport. Stone quickly took charge. "What do we know about that transport?" "Carrying vaccines to the ring colonies," an alien officer reported. "Most of our species will die without those supplies." "Then we protect it," Stone said simply. He pressed the comm button. "Reaper Squad, suit up. We've got doctors to defend." Dr. Blue watched in amazement as the humans launched into action. Their violence now had purpose, not destroying, but protecting. Their ships moved with deadly precision, drawing swarm fire away from the transport. "Look at their tactics," Dr. Blue said softly. "They're not just attacking. We're putting ourselves between the danger and those who can't fight," Stone explained, directing the battle. "Just like our ancestors did against predators, storms, and disease." The battle was fierce but quick. The swarm ships, unused to enemies who would deliberately take hits to protect others, couldn't adapt fast enough. Soon they retreated, leaving the medical transport safe. Later, as human medics helped treat injured alien crew members, Dr. Blue approached Stone again. "I think I understand now," he said. "Your violence isn't random. It's a teacher's stern hand, a parent's protective grasp, a doctor's careful cut to heal." Stone nodded. "Earth taught us that strength without control is useless, that fighting without purpose is hollow. We're not violent because we want to be. We're strong because we had to be." "The Council fears your kind," Dr. Blue admitted, "but they don't understand. You're not just warriors. You're guardians." "That's the real lesson of Earth," Stone said, watching his team help rebuild damaged sections of the ship. The same strength that lets us fight lets us build. The same will that lets us survive lets us protect others. We're Deathworlders not because we love violence, but because you learn to master it, Dr. Blue finished. The alarm sounded again. More swarm ships detected. Time to go be guardians again, Stone said, putting on his helmet. Care to watch, Doctor? There's always more to learn about human nature. Dr. Blue's body glowed with excitement. I wouldn't miss it for anything, Captain. The swarm learned their lesson the hard way. Never threaten a Deathworlder's home. The attack on Earth began at dawn. Thousands of swarm ships darkened the skies over every major city. They expected an easy victory, thinking one planet couldn't stand against their mighty fleet. They were wrong. In the orbital command center, Captain Stone watched the incoming swarm with Admiral Gray and Dr. Blue. Warning signals flashed across every screen. They think Earth is like other worlds, Admiral Gray said, his voice cold. Weak. Defenseless. They don't understand what they've just done. Stone pressed the global alert button. All Earth Defense Forces, this is Captain Stone. The swarm is about to learn why you don't attack a death world. Execute Protocol Thunderstorm. Earth's response was beautiful and terrible to watch. Hidden missile silos opened in mountains that the swarm thought were natural formations. Orbital defense platforms that looked like regular satellites revealed energy weapons bigger than most alien ships. Every human military base, hidden under oceans or disguised as civilian buildings, sprang to life. Magnificent, Dr. Blue whispered, his body glowing with awe. You were prepared for this all along. We're humans, Stone replied. We're always prepared for the worst. The first wave of swarm ships broke against Earth's defenses like waves against a cliff. Human pilots, born and trained in high gravity, pulled maneuvers that their ships shouldn't have been able to survive. Ground-based weapons, designed by people who had spent centuries preparing for alien invasion, tore through swarm armor like paper. Multiple swarm ships attempting to land in Asia, an operator reported. Stone smiled grimly. Let them try. Show us the ground battle. The screen switched to Earth's surface. Swarm ground forces landed in what they thought was an empty field in Japan. Instead, they found themselves facing hundreds of combat mechs rising from underground bunkers. The aliens fought well, but they had never faced machines built by people who had spent generations dreaming up ways to fight alien invasions. Sir, another operator called out. The swarm is targeting civilian areas. Activate the city shields, Admiral Gray ordered. The aliens watched in surprise as every major city on Earth was suddenly covered by energy shields. Technology that the humans had kept hidden, developed in secret, now revealed its full power. You see, Stone explained to Dr. Blue, we learned something from your council's records. Every other advanced species developed in peace. They built their cities in the open, their defenses as afterthoughts. But Earth taught us to build everything like a fortress. The swarm's second wave hit even harder than the first. But now Earth's full military might was awakening. Ships hidden in deep space returned. Weapons platforms on Mars and Luna opened fire. Every human colony joined the fight. All human forces are reporting in, an operator announced. Military reserves at 100%. Civilian defense units activated. Industrial bases switching to war production. Dr. Blue's glow flickered in confusion. Your civilians fight too. On Earth, Admiral Gray said, everyone learns to defend themselves. It's in our blood. The battle raged for hours. The swarm fought with desperate fury, but they were fighting against an entire species that had evolved to survive anything their world could throw at them. A species that had spent its entire history preparing for threats, both real and imagined. Finally, the swarm fleet began to retreat. Their losses were staggering. Should we pursue? An operator asked. Stone looked at Admiral Gray, who nodded. No, let them run. Let them tell others what happened when they attacked a death world. As the swarm ships fled, Dr. Blue turned to Stone. I understand now. Your hidden weapons, your buried cities, your prepared civilians. This is why Deathworlders are different. You never forget the lessons your world taught you. The swarm thought they could treat Earth like any other world, Stone said, watching the last enemy ships disappear. But Earth isn't just another world. It's the planet that tried to kill us for millions of years and failed. And now its children are going to show the galaxy exactly what that means. The screen showed celebrations beginning around the world. Humans emerging from their shelters, not broken but stronger, ready to take the fight to the stars. The message was clear. Earth was not to be trifled with. The Deathworlders had shown their true power. 3 days after Earth's victory, Captain Stone stood in a captured swarm ship, studying their technology. The vessel's interior was hot and dense, conditions that would kill most council species but felt almost comfortable to a human. Dr. Blue floated nearby in his containment field, analyzing data. Look at these readings, Captain, Dr. Blue said, his glow pulsing with excitement. They're life support systems. They're not what we thought. Stone moved closer to the alien console. After the battle, Earth's forces had captured several intact swarm ships, complete with their crews. But something about the prisoners had been bothering him. They're not eating, Stone said. The swarm prisoners. They refused all the food we offered. Because they can't eat it, Dr. Blue replied. Their biology. Captain, I don't think they're invaders. Not in the way we thought. A message from Admiral Gray interrupted them. Stone, get to holding cell 7. Our linguists finally broke their language. You need to hear this. In the holding cell, a swarm warrior sat hunched over. Up close, without weapons and armor, it looked different. Tired. Desperate. Its natural armor was cracked and fading. A human linguist, Professor Wells, stood nearby with a translation device. We were wrong about them, Captain. They're not attacking worlds for conquest. Listen. The swarm warrior spoke, its clicks and hisses converted to English. Our worlds are dying. The great stars grow dim. Our children starve. We searched for new homes, tried to speak with the soft world species, but they feared us, attacked us. We had no choice but to fight. Stone felt a chill. You're refugees. Our kind evolved in worlds like yours. The warrior continued. Heavy gravity, harsh conditions, but our stars are failing. Radiation levels rising. We cannot survive there anymore. Millions have already died. Dr. Blue's glow dimmed with sadness. The Council, we never understood their attempts at communication. Their biology is too different from ours. We assumed their messages were threats. Stone walked closer to the cell. The warrior didn't flinch, one Deathworlder recognizing another's strength. Show me your worlds, Stone said. The warrior pressed something on its armor. A hologram appeared, showing 3 solar systems. The stars were clearly dying, their radiation destroying everything around them. The planets, once like Earth, were becoming uninhabitable. How many of your people are left? Stone asked. 2 billion, the warrior replied. On ships and temporary colonies. Many are children. We need worlds like yours to survive, but your gravity would crush the soft world species. We saw no other way. Stone turned to Dr. Blue. You said humans think differently than council species, that we see solutions others miss. Well, I'm seeing one now. He activated his comm. Admiral Gray, remember the Mars terraforming project? The one that lets us build habitats in any environment. The atmospheric processors. Gray's voice crackled. What about them? We don't need to fight the swarm, Stone said. We need to help them build new homes. Not on occupied worlds, but on the heavy planets no one else can use. The ones like Earth. The warrior stood up suddenly, its armor creaking. You can build worlds. We had to, Stone replied. Earth taught us how to survive anywhere. Mars was our first test. a dead world we made livable. We can do the same for your people." Dr. Blue's glow brightened with understanding. Of course, the Council never considered those planets because we couldn't survive there. But between human engineering and swarm biology, we can turn dead worlds into new homes. Stone finished. No more war. No more dying stars. Just new beginnings. The warrior pressed its clawed hand against the cell barrier. "Why would you help us after we attack your world?" Stone placed his hand against the other side of the barrier. "Because that's another thing Earth taught us. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't in knowing how to fight. It's in knowing when to help." Dr. Blue finished. The warrior's armor plates shifted, showing colors they hadn't seen before. "Hope. Send word to your fleet," Stone said. "Tell them Earth offers peace. And more than that, we offer survival. It's time to stop fighting and start building." Above them, through the station's windows, Earth shone blue and green. A harsh world that had taught its children not just how to fight, but how to thrive. And now those lessons would save another species from extinction. 1 year after the Great Battle of Earth, Captain Stone stood on the surface of New Hope, the first jointly constructed human swarm colony. The massive planet's crushing gravity would kill most species in the galaxy, but around him, humans and swarm workers moved with easy confidence. Through his environment suit's visor, Stone watched a huge terraforming machine reshape the landscape. These machines, built with human ingenuity and swarm strength, could transform deadly worlds into habitable ones in months instead of decades. "Hard to believe this was a dead rock a year ago," Admiral Gray said, walking up beside him. "Now look at it." The planet's surface was already changing. Engineered plants, designed to survive in high gravity, were spreading across the reformed soil. In the distance, massive city hives rose into the orange sky, built to house millions of swarm refugees. Dr. Blue floated nearby in his enhanced containment field, recording everything. The Council still can't believe this worked. 2 Deathworld species working together instead of fighting. It changes everything we thought we knew about evolution. A swarm worker approached them, its armor now decorated with symbols of peace rather than war. "The first colony dome is ready," it clicked in their now shared language. "Would you like to see?" They followed the worker to a massive structure. Inside, swarm children played in the high gravity, while human teachers helped them learn about their new home. In another section, human scientists and swarm engineers worked together, combining their knowledge to solve new problems. "Remember when they first called us?" Stone asked Gray. The Council thought they needed Deathworlders just for fighting. Gray laughed. "Instead, they got humanity's real strength, our ability to turn any challenge into an opportunity." A holographic display showed the progress of other colonies. Dozens of worlds once thought too hostile for life were being transformed. The swarm's dying population was recovering, finding new hope on planets that matched their natural needs. "The latest reports are amazing," Dr. Blue said, his glow bright with excitement. "The swarm's birth rates have tripled since the relocations began. Their people are thriving in these conditions." Stone watched a group of human and swarm workers calibrating a new atmospheric processor. "You know what's really interesting? We're learning as much from them as they are from us. Their natural armor design has already improved our spacesuits by 300%. A small swarm child approached Stone, holding up a drawing. It showed human and swarm figures working together under a bright sun. Stone carefully took the picture with his armored hands. "This is why we survived Earth," he said softly. "Not just because we learned to fight, but because we learned to adapt, to build, to turn hostile environments into homes." Admiral Gray nodded. "The Council sees it now. They're already talking about other impossible worlds that could be colonized using our methods. The galaxy just got a lot bigger." Dr. Blue's sensors detected an incoming ship. The Council representatives are arriving for the official colony opening. They watched as the sleek Council ship landed carefully on the high-gravity pad. The alien representatives emerged in their heavy-duty protection suits, still amazed that humans and Swarm could walk here so easily. "Welcome to New Hope," Stone greeted them, ready to see what Deathworlders can really do. As they toured the colony, showing the council members how former enemies had become essential allies, Stone reflected on how far they'd come. The Swarm had needed new homes. Humanity had needed a bigger challenge than Mars. Together, they were reshaping the galaxy. "You know what Earth's greatest lesson really was," Stone said to Dr. Blue as they watched the sun set on their new world. "It's not about being the strongest or the toughest." "What is it about then, Captain?" "It's about understanding that survival doesn't have to mean fighting. Sometimes it means building something new. Sometimes the best way to overcome a harsh world is to work together to change it." The massive sun sank below the horizon, casting long shadows across the transformed landscape. In the growing darkness, the lights of the new colony shone like stars, a beacon of hope built by two species that everyone else had feared. The Deathworlders had not just saved the galaxy, they had shown it a new way to live.